go ahead and make these unofficial introductions. In case you haven't caught on, Astra, we are biologically related, me and this guy. But he's good people. I trust the process, and he, as I mentioned briefly to you, he is also in the space of mental and behavioral health. And like I mentioned to you, Mr. Walker, she is also a pageant queen, and she's also expanding her presence in the mental and behavioral health space. So what I wanted to do today is just hop on with you guys and shed some light from the perspective of what your involvement is. But the interesting part of this all is that you, Astra, are a Zeta, yes?
Yes, I am.
And this guy is a Sigma. Oh my gosh. I just thought that was so neat.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're gonna work with that. We're gonna see how that ties in, like being affiliated with different structure organizations, social organizations, group professional organizations. How does that all tie into mental and behavioral health and social wellness? And pretty much go from there. So what I want to do first, start by letting you guys introduce each other so I can celebrate and clap and might learn something that I didn't know from the get-go. So I'll let you go first, Astra. Just introduce yourself and we'll get this conversation flowing and going.
Okay. Well, Astra is actually my middle name.
Oh.
So usually on social media, I don't really put my first name out there. But my real name is Reva Williams. I crossed spring 2022 with Sigma Mu Zeta out in Stone Mountain for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I recently started my pageant journey with the National Sorority pageant. One of the things over the past few years, I found like mental health has been a real thing within the community. You hear about it, but you never really know about it until you have to deal with it. With that, I have been trying to work more with community-based organizations to actually put more effort into people actually being helped. I have found some of, they give you all these hotlines and things like that to call, but to be honest, there's a lot of people on the other end that don't know what they're doing. So one of the things I actually want to be able to reach out, put things in place where people are actually being helped. So it's not that they're being turned away or they're discouraged from actually getting the help that they need.
Okay. That is a good call because you're right. As we go deeper into those mental and behavioral health conversations, we will find that people are still learning about it. And so it makes those conversations uncomfortable. It makes the help seem insufficient. And it just really, like you say, it puts people in a place where you're really just calling a number and people are learning as they go with some urgent life matters on the line. So you made a good call, and it takes being involved with those different community organizations, like you mentioned, to help, make these conversations a lot less taboo and equip people more so that they can get in positions to not just help others, but to also help themselves. And, that is one of the reasons why we have gentlemen like this guy who is a part of different organizations and has his own company that offers some type of help and support in various ways. So I'm going to let him introduce himself.
And I have to try to follow behind that. First of all, just say thank you for having me as well. My name is Tenastis. I always went by my middle name, which is Eve, but definitely one of the walkers for sure. So just a little bit about my company. Is a change is going to come. LLC. We offer a lot of different things as far as domestic violence, anger management, and I'm also a certified life coach. With the mental health portion of it, it comes out in the courses that I teach. And so it made me want to go a step further. So I'm also currently working on my LPC. I should be done hopefully by the end of the year. And so that I can really dig a little deeper than what I've been doing right now. And also my day-to-day, my day job as a school counselor, I'm also seeing the social emotional things that's going on with the children. And sometimes we have all these different trainings, and sometimes it's frustrating when you feel like you go in one ear and not the other with the educators, because
Right.
kids are having so many different things going on at home, and we're focused on academics and all these things when sometimes you just gotta see how the person is really doing. Sometimes you just gotta ask them, "How are you?" and just pause and to listen to their response. And even with the temperament of a lot of yelling and different things like that, because they can be triggers.
Mhm.
Sometimes people don't pay attention to those things, and I do. And sometimes they're like, "These kids are hard, they're bad, da da da." And I'm like, "Yeah, they might be, but you're not helping the case."
Right.
And so
Right.
sometimes I'm looking at them with the side eye opposed to the child, because it's easier to make some correction with the children than it is with the adults. But some people have their mind made up and they're like, "I am who I am. I've been this way, forever and a day, and I'm gonna
Right.
stay there."
Yeah.
So um that's an unfortunate portion of it, but I'm here to help whomever wants to receive it, but I don't try to force it on anyone.
Yeah.
That's my mindset.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, that piece about wanting it. And I think some of it goes back to what we were just talking about, the conversations being taboo about people basically being uncomfortable with even admitting to certain things, admitting that, this behavior might not be okay, despite what generations of my family have agreed to, you know what I mean?
Right.
So being able to, like you say, tenacity is to put people in a space where you can help the problem. And I think for me, one of my approaches is to have casual conversations, especially working with children, and families with children, having those conversations to where it doesn't feel so therapeutic. It's not like I'm sitting across from Dr. So-and-so and how's your day? No, we want to meet people where they are. We want to get in those environments where it's most natural for them, so that they can, one, let their hair down, let their guard down, and to be in a space where before they know it, they're releasing things that just needed to be released from the get-go. So, and I guess going back then, it's important to say who I am, right? So for those who don't know, I am English Simone, and I essentially work with different companies, entities, nonprofits, and public health and service companies. And I help assess, support, or create mental and behavioral health programs. And that's anywhere from sports teams to in-school support and even school districts, where we just roll out ways to get kids connected with support, however, wherever we need to meet them. And one of the things we do is to have these types of conversations. We have those interest groups, those student interest groups, where it can be a group of kids who are interested in gaming. You get those kids on a game, you would be amazed at how, they're involved, they're engaged. And
Yep.
you can see a lot just looking at how they respond in those games. And so we want to be able to um, get people in a space where they can just let their guard down, man, let their guard down. And so I'm gonna go back then and actually piggybacking off of the idea of, you know, what you guys are doing and what you guys are looking to do as it pertains to being a part of professional groups. And how is that lifestyle for you? We'll start there. How is being in the pageantry world, how is that for you? And how does it affect you socially, emotionally, mentally, if at all?
Okay. So this is not my first pageant. I actually started pageantry back when I was like 9, 10. Um, I'm originally from the Virgin Islands. At that point in time, I joined the Prince and Princess show. So I did that one. Then from there, I left. I went, grew up, went to college, then came home back in 2010, and I joined the national pageant for the Virgin Islands, which was the Miss British Virgin Islands pageant. So if you won, you would have gotten to go to Miss Universe. While I didn't win, it was still something fun, something to learn. I like to dress up. I like the makeup. I like to be being around people. Well, that's sometimes. So it was something that I wanted to continue, but I couldn't at that point in time because, most of those pageants, especially when you're doing the Miss pageant, which is the MISS pageant, once you have a kid, you're automatically excluded. So
Oh,
now that I've moved back to the United States, I've been back here for almost 5 years. Um, I'm able to do a lot more because there are pageantry circuits that are open for women like me. And even now, they have changed a lot of the criteria for Miss Universe and things like that. That if I want to, I can go back and actually try to be a part of this again. With pageantry, it's wide open, so to speak. Once you gain your platform, you're able to meet and connect with so many different people. Even with the women that you're competing against, these are all connections. These are like the women that I have around me right now. They're beautiful women. There's things that they talk about and that they've been through that they're working toward. It's awesome to see. So for me, pageantry is one of the things that really connects you to the outside world. People just see the quote unquote vain side of it, but they don't see the actual work that a lot of these women put in.
gotcha. So, I like that idea, especially in an age where women so often are associated with, like you say, being vain, being self-centered, and just out for self. I like how you positioned it that there is a space, a safe space where
Right,
essentially, beauty and character meet. And I think that's very important because that's essentially what we are. We are physical, we are mental, and we are social and emotional. And that particular setting seems to encourage that. Um, and I think it's important that as we work with young people, that they understand the importance of their social circle, which is why these
right,
conversations that we're having as professional adults, we're having the conversations on a different level of groups that we associate with. But when we're speaking to our kids, we're speaking to the youth, we want them to understand how certain social groups can make or break you. So what
right.
about you, Mr. Walker? Like, as for you and the social professional groups that you're a part of, how does it affect you if it has in those different ways as well? You muted. Are you muted?
Okay.
There you
Sorry about that. Technology issue.
go.
Okay,
Right.
so yeah, one of the groups that I am a part of is Counseling Brothers of Atlanta. I think you and I had spoke about that once before. And we discussed a lot of different things. We meet periodically, and then I also several of them are my fraternity brothers as well. So there are times when I may have certain things going on mentally, and I can reach out to a professional almost, I like to say, on the dime, and I can get help that I need just because I need to talk to someone that I know that's going to keep it confidential and is some of the best of the best. So I'm very fortunate. Then also, I'm able to link up with these same professionals and go out and help others. And I think that's like you can't draw it up any better than that. And I've taken some of that stuff and I live by it, as well. So I don't just ask for people's input and then just blow it out once I'm better, but I just continue to try to utilize it. And I think that's and it speaks volumes on whom I've become because there are times where, I'm gonna say scatterbrain, for lack of a better word. And so I feel like this group has helped me a lot, professionally, emotionally, and personally and professionally. So, I'm just like, I'm grateful. I'm not really a part of a whole bunch of other groups. I do have a 501c3 that I'm trying to get off the ground that I want to try to help the underserved people that's maybe homeless and just really just want to get on their feet. I like to say the underdog pretty much. because I've felt like the underdog before, and I know how that feels. And I'm always rooting for the people that it seems as if the odds are against. So that's definitely plans for the near future, but I don't know how near it is because there's some other things I want to get intact, So once I get some other stuff like I want it, then I'll start to pursue that because I want to try to do something. And I don't really want to talk about it too much until the ball is rolling.
Right.
It's something I learn. But once I get the ball rolling, I'm going to be asking for some hands. No money, but
Okay.
just some hands.
Hint,
Yeah.
hint. Okay,
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
Got
Yes.
it. But it's
Yeah.
already rolling. Look, you got it in the atmosphere. You know, I'm
Oh
big on
yeah.
speaking that stuff into existence now. So you know where
Walk
to
into a
find your
positive
little cousin.
is walk into a positive change. So that's the name of the 501c3.
I like
So
that. All
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep our ears and eyes open for that. Because
Oh
you
yeah.
already got some people who should be willing to help. Hint, hint.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I
So
like
yeah,
that
I'm
stuff.
ecstatic about what's coming in the near future.
Okay. Oh, and you know what I really like out of what you were saying is like the 360 of it all. Like how, you are a part of groups that you show support, you get support, and
Hmm.
then you're still reaching even further to give more support. But what really resonates with me, especially being all of us being of African American, dark skinned, complected, melanated people, is that, our men don't really ask for help often. Let me rephrase that. Is that true that men are really hesitant to ask for help?
Yes, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
conversation, but I feel like because we don't feel comfortable,
Hmm.
it's not it almost as if it's like it's like it's discredited. You look down upon if you're asking for help.
It was the
So a lot of
generation
times,
that we was raised in.
yeah.
Because
So
from what I've seen, they always teach the guys you got to be strong. You can't wear your heart on your sleeve. You mustn't show emotions.
yeah.
That's the things that we have put out there in the atmosphere. So it's the generations that we have been raised in, and it's just moved on from one to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Generational, some people call them generational curses, some people call them cycles. At the end of the day, it keeps coming around and around and
Uh-huh.
around.
Yeah.
And
So it's had to be something where, like sometimes somebody might like, hey, prime example, I just had a 5-year celebration for my business, and a couple of my high school classmates came and they served the food and they just took over. They just started doing all kinds of stuff. And they're like, why you didn't call us for some help? And I was like,
Because you want to
you
do
should
it
have called
all.
us. Yeah, but I was like, man, I just didn't want to call nobody, but
yeah,
had I known they was gonna come and do that, man, I would have called. But I mean, I just didn't. And I'm cool with them. We're family, really. But
right.
I don't too much. I don't do it, but I know I need to, and I know people don't mind helping, and I'm always helping other people. And I
Hmm.
enjoy when somebody do help me, but I don't like to ask for
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I think that's having a heart of service and not focus on self, which I think a lot of us tend to be guilty of a lot of the time. Um, but I've learned, because I have been on the brink of burnout very many times, is I'm learning how to prioritize myself. And in prioritizing yourself, it sometimes looks like selfishness. It sometimes looks like vanity. It sometimes looks like you just don't give a
Mhm.
dang. But even if it does, I think that's okay. I think it's okay to sometimes say, forget y'all. I'm gonna do me. Like, it's
Yeah,
okay.
definitely.
I would think we should let me see, depending on who you talk to now, there might be a good conversation to have. Some people just don't care. Some people really don't care. But I think having those conversations about how a healthy sense of self will allow you to be selfish sometimes. A healthy sense of self will allow you to say, yeah, I love you, but no, I can't. But a healthy sense of self will also say, man, I really need some help. Let me ask somebody, because I'm not going to ask either. That's just, look. And I just don't even like asking questions. I don't, It was like, I'm gonna ask you one time, and if you don't respond or you don't answer me, it's
That's
like, okay,
it.
that's it. Like, we no love lost, but I ain't gonna ask you
Yeah.
no more.
But
I ain't in the mission of begging, man.
it's funny too, because like I get that sometimes from people, and
Yeah.
I'll be like, man, it really wasn't intentional.
Right.
Almost actually yesterday, I had a long week. So I teach classes for myself, of course, because I'm on business, but I also teach for someone else. But I had 2 different trainers this week. And then I was like, man, am I supposed to teach for her today? Because I told her that I didn't complete the training from last week. So I like, okay, can I did I have a pass for this Thursday as well? I'm really not sure. And I had people in front of me from my own company. So I was like, boy, this is a lot. And I was just doing like 4 different things at one time. And so I just sent a text. And my thing was, if I was supposed to teach, then I was going to do it. But it was going to be a lot. And I was really tired, to be honest, overwhelmed,
Yeah.
And, a lot of times I work through being overwhelmed, but I was like, man, I really don't want to if I don't have to. But long story short, it became it, the conversation between the tech message was interpreted wrong, I guess, on both parties, on both ends.
Mhm.
And it led to a little friction. And to the
Yeah.
point where I felt like it was a little disrespectful. And I don't do well with disrespect. But the mature side of me was like, okay, have a good evening. And I
Yeah.
stopped.
Cut it
That's
short.
not me. And a friend of mine at work, I told him about it. I said, bro, I showed him the text. I was like, you think I was wrong? He said, it looked like it was bad communication between the two of you. He said, but you did a good thing by ending it, because had you went on, according to women, and y'all are ladies, so you understand, boy, he would have been all kind of bad names. It would have been on you. You would have been a horrible guy. I said, yeah, I know. And I like, we don't feel comfortable even speaking on some of that stuff. But I like, man, I don't like nobody talking to me crazy,
Mhm.
And so, but I didn't give her the gasoline to keep igniting the flames of that situation. I just
Yeah.
deaded it. Have a good evening. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah. But
I think sometimes that's a healthy approach.
the thing is, because someone like, yeah, she got a lot going on. I got a lot going on too. But I can't take out my personal problems on you,
Exactly.
Right.
because we all suffering from something.
I like
Even
that.
even as the help. You know what I mean? And I'm saying we're the help because we're always helping other people, but we have our own battles, and it's okay. It's part of life. But just because I'm having my battles, my struggles, I can't impose them on you. And if I do, we had, going back a few months, I was telling this story too. We had death in the family. And we was at the family was around meeting and setting up and stuff, just talking. And a guy came up to me and started telling me about his family issues and all kinds. They pulled me to the side. And I was like,
Oh.
you didn't check to see how I'm doing. I'm not, and I told my clients this, it almost seemed insensitive when I said my office hours are from 9 to 5. When I'm hanging out, I need that time to decompress.
Yes.
I don't want to have conversation all the time about other stuff. And not that I'm insensitive, but I need time to,
For you.
yes, yes. Like, I care all the time, but if I don't ever take time, it's going to do more than just burn me out. It's going to take me out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? That's actually, now that we're there, when we're talking about self and preserving ourselves and taking care of ourselves, I want to go back to Reva's. Is it Riva or Reva? Am I saying it right?
Reva.
Reva. Okay.
Yes.
Your campaign, Surviving You.
Yes.
When I first heard it, now I'm thinking about, man, that hits hard. Cause like you were saying to Nancy's, Mr. Walker, like we burn ourselves out. Being those who give all the time, we often burn out and we still running. We still pouring into others and we usually ain't got nobody to pour into us. So I want you to elaborate on what that campaign is and like tell us about it, sell it. And
So
let us know how we can support it.
Surviving You, actually, eventually I want to actually turn it into a nonprofit organization. Surviving You is all about taking care of yourself. So while, yes, I'm part of mental health, but is more of mental health for self. How do we deal with debts? How do we deal with problems at work? How we deal with our kids? How do we deal with each other? Things like that. Because essentially we sit down and we hear mental health, most people quickly think of a actual mental health problem, but they're not seeing the things that they can take care of before we actually get to that point.
Right.
So, like if you're working all the time, when do you take your break? When do you actually go on vacation? Do you have time to go on vacation? Things like that. Dealing with kids. Are you a single mom, single dad? Who is actually helping you? Because, kids could be frustrating. I'm about to have a teenage son. So, things about to actually change. So, it's going to be the whole talks of girlfriends and whatever else and things like that. So, it's a whole different other aspect from that age from 0 to 12. So it's more of how do you deal with the things that are in front of you before it gets to the point of, hey, maybe I do need help here. Maybe I need to go to therapist. I'm not saying therapy is bad or anything like that. If you need it, go and get it. But it's more of taking care of you before it turns into a situation that you need more.
Right. So let me ask you this then. In talking about that and in emphasizing yourself, and now that you're at this point where you understand that we need to survive ourselves, we need to tend to ourselves. Around what age did you have that revelation that was actually a thing, like that you actually need to focus on you a little bit more?
To be honest with you, it was when I was 33, 3 years ago. Because, growing up in your 20s, all this stuff, I mean, yes, I had my son at 23, but you were still running around trying to do everything.
Right.
Right. So now it's getting to the point that, okay, I'm tired. I need help. Who's helping me? I'm helping everybody. I need to get this done. I need to get that done. I need to get to this point. What is the actual track that you're going, the way that you're dealing with? I mean, I'm still learning a lot of stuff myself, saying no, telling them, no, I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not going to do that. Things of that nature. So yes, it was 3 years ago, literally.
Yes. I know that. Look, and we the same age, so I know that feeling. And I just got a 14-year-old as of January, and let me tell you, total adventure. I will say that much. So, but
Total
I'm
360,
learning.
exactly.
Yeah, man. I'm like, ooh, baby, listen, if only you knew. If only you knew. And but I will say too, on our kids, our youth are a big part of why I feel, and as we are seeing, I feel that mental and behavioral health conversations are now becoming important. These are now becoming more prevalent conversations because these kids are bolder. They are speaking their mind, and we don't understand it. Like we were talking earlier about how whether or not men do or don't open up and ask for help, and as of whether or not it's a cycle or a generational thing. I think these kids' braveness, their audacity is both their gift and their curse, their weakness and their strong point, because they have so much that they're willing to talk about. But like Synastis was saying, some of us don't even give them that room to talk. And yet we blame them for being weak. We blame them for not understanding. And it's, we're not leveraging what their insight can provide. So I want to say that, how can we have that conversation early in so that they don't have to wait until their 30s like you and I did to really discover themselves? I know I used to be a part of an organization called Self-Discovery, Pain, Positioning, and Purpose. And when I joined it, when I became a part of the board, I should say, the name didn't really hit me. Like that chapter in my life, I just knew it wasn't comfortable. I knew I wasn't happy. I was borderline insanity, it felt like. But since then, I have flourished and grown so much because I had to strategically and intentionally walk a path of purpose and see what can I do to better me? But again, I was pushing, I want to say pushing 30, like this wasn't long ago. So, with that being said, then, and when we circle back to these conversations about supporting one another, or when we talk about those conversations about surrounding yourself with people
Right.
who can support you as a means of helping you support yourself. Like what is something that you could say to Nastis in reference to, that discovery of yourself? Like, how did you, what was the turning point that brought you to the point that says, hey, I'm always helping somebody. Let me get certified in this, or let me open this company to start this company so I can expand my reach. What was the turning point for you?
Oh man, it's a long story. I try to make it short. In college, I wanted to go to college to do sports management, but I started working at this residential facility, and I started working with the youth, and I started to notice that they had real issues and real problems. And I thought I had, how you think you got the worst parents, your home life is so bad, until you see somebody who really got it for real. And I'm like, oh man. And so I had the title counselor, but I wasn't making but like $8-9 an hour. So it really wasn't no counselor for real. But I was like, okay, so I don't really wanna go to school. I hated school. I graduated high school, with a GPA unmentionable. You feel me? And so I like, college ain't for me, school ain't for me, so I'm not doing it. Well, when my daughter was born, I couldn't live off that salary, and I was like, nah, this ain't gonna work. And so I applied for the master's program. I got accepted some kind of way. Glory be to God. And you can only make 3 C's in grad school. I made a C the first semester. And so the girl held me by the hand, and the rest is history. And so I started networking and meeting different people, and I just started telling them about my life story. And they're like, man, this profession needs you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's because of life experiences. Like I was just telling somebody today about the story that I had, so I can relate to a lot of people with issues with womanizing. Because I gotta admit, I'm official when it comes to that, drinking and smoking, all that. I'm official when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Because I started all this stuff early. And so most of the people that look like me, I can identify not by something that I read in a book, and they can peep it from a mile away, and they can tell when you're being real or when you sound like a puppet.
Yeah.
And so now that I got the credentials to substantiate who I really am, and you could call and check on me, you know what I mean, and realize I'm certified,
That's
it
right.
just like it makes it so easy, and so it's like I tell them I get paid to do something I love to do, something that I do for free. And it's just I get so many text messages and emails on a regular of just saying thank you. Thank you for being you. So that's like, I guess that's it in a nutshell. And then, but even going way back as a child, this is gonna be crazy. Being a follower, right? I have, I got an older brother. This is gonna be funny. We got different mothers. My dad used to always take us to different restaurants. This particular day was at the chicken place, Big Chick. And he always ordered first. Every time it was like clockwork. So whenever he ordered, I get whatever he got. There's one particular, and he's 3 years older, or 3.5 years older. So, I'm being like my big brother. And one day my dad was like, nah, you order first. Why? I still don't know to this day, but I think I know now. And so I ordered first, and then when I got my food, he ordered something different. And so I was hurt. I was like, man, I don't mess up. And he like, no, you didn't mess up. You got what you wanted. But that was having my own mind. And so as I got older, I started doing my own thing. I wasn't a follower. You know what I'm saying? And I still got in the track that I wanted to go. And I'm able to be my authentic self. So many people as adults don't know how to be their authentic self. And they're still trying to follow other people's trend. If you notice, I wear tennis shoes and different things like that, but I also like to dress up. As a grown man, you should. A lot of grown men still haven't gotten to that point yet. They have an identity crisis, you know. So be true to yourself and be good to yourself before you're good to anybody else. And I tell men this, like, we ain't nothing wrong with loving a woman. And I think we should treat y'all like queens. I promise I do. However, I tell them this: treat yourself really, really good, because how did you get her? She thought you was attractive, you probably smell good, probably taking care of yourself. When you start to let that part go, you're no longer attractive, not even to you for real.
Right,
So
right.
how can you love someone else if you don't not even loving yourself properly?
Uh-oh. Oh, that's gonna strike some nerves with some people because
Yeah,
listen, to
yeah,
be at this point in life and to not care enough about yourself, or some people don't even know what it really means to care about themselves, let alone somebody
Right.
else. Because like you
yeah.
say, that lack of self-identity and being followers, and especially nowadays, everything's so publicized and easily accessible. It's like a trend train. Everything's really popular. We want to hop on that
Mm-hmm.
bandwagon. And while that, it's good to be aware, how can we, draw the line with following trends, and like, do you think that let me narrow this question, because my brain's like, oh, we got conversation going. Wait a
Yeah.
minute. So if we talk about trends, so let's circle back real quick then, with both of you all being leaders, you being advocates in certain spaces, and you being a part of certain groups. Would you say that it's in speaking now and then reflecting when you were younger, would you say that those types of, give me one second, would you say those types of trends help with you growing as an individual, or would you say that those trends are exacerbated by your groups? How would you say that being a part of groups helps your individuality and your willingness, or your willingness to turn away from trends and be authentic? Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
I think it does. I mean, for me personally, I had to change the original groups that I was hanging around, because I was headed down the wrong path by
Yeah.
the people I chose to be around. The groups that I'm around now are people that can help me,
Yeah.
people that can put me in a position to win, and people that my family can be proud of, that I am associated with.
Right.
We got a cousin, and I remember him telling me this, Keena. He was saying, at the rate that I was going, he would be embarrassed to tell someone that he was related to me. And we
Mm.
first cousins, and that hurt. But I
Yeah.
understand why. You know what I'm saying? Because I was making poor choices, poor decisions. And this is even after having a college degree, you know.
Right.
But my mind just wasn't there yet of doing the right thing. You
Yeah.
know, a college degree to me was like a bag of chips. It didn't mean nothing to me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Right.
so, yeah. So that that made I got to that crossroads in the road, and I was like, okay, you know what? It's time to do something different.
Yeah.
And so I finally had to, get my act together, and I'm around people that some real movers and some real shakers.
There
You
we
know,
go.
yeah.
I can see that. I can
Yeah.
see that. And what about you, River? Would you say, like, your involvement or engagement with different groups, and even different people, does that help you, you know, determine your own path and help with your self identity, so that you're not easily influenced by trends?
She fell off for a minute.
Uh-oh. Oh, she's back. Okay. My nose running. Like, oh, I ain't got no tissue. Hey, let's see. Hey, look, perfect time. And I had to let you back in here. I had another question for you as we start winding down. Um, but he was just wrapping up how, his overall take on, those. One, he said something I think is very important about how a degree don't determine your value. I'm gonna say that. In real life, it really just don't. But what I wanted to ask you, Reva, was, you know, in line with that same question, we were talking about trends and talking about how our involvement with different groups helps with our own self-identity, so we can, we can either move on our own or determine which trends to follow or not to follow. Like, does being a part of a group help or harm your ability to follow or turn away trends? You talk, I think you're muted, or I know you're muted.
Oh, there we go. For me, I personally feel like being a part of groups, it's all about individuality. For me, they have to see something within you that you bring to the table for them to even want you around. Because if you come in acting like everybody else, they already have that. What do they need you for? So for me, I don't think it's really more all about the trends. I mean, you pick and choose what trends.
Right.
You go, with fashion, makeup, things like that. That's where you follow the trends at. But when it comes to actually everyday things, you have to be that individual. You have to be that person that you'll be able to learn and grow from your experiences and be able to come into an organization and be able to present something.
I like that. That's fair. I like that, because we're a mixing bowl. They say this country is a mixing bowl of people, and we won't get into those types of politics. But at the end of the day, it's what makes us great as individuals, because we're all contributing something, right? And I want that so bad, because my special interest is youth and families of youth. And I want that so bad for them to understand their intrinsic value and know what they bring to the table without hopping on the trend train so fast. So, as we embark on the end of our journey here, I want to see what insight between us three, amongst us three, to share, pieces of advice to give, not just to our peers, meaning other adults, but also to those adults who are working with children. Like, what's some nuggets we can drop and share so that we can better pour into our youth who are in similar positions as us, who look up and aspire to be like us. What's some last gems we can drop for them?
For me, is listen to them. Everything is not always as what it seems. My soon to be 12-year-old, he was just diagnosed with level 1 autism. And I'm finding a lot of these kids that they're sitting down saying, oh, you're bad, you're this, you're that, you're the other. A lot of them have certain issues that we're not picking up on. So for instance, a lot of behavioral problems. They don't really mix and mingle with people, things like that. But later on, you're finding out, hey, this is what's going on. He's autistic, but we watch kids and they look perfectly fine, perfectly normal, and we think that is nothing wrong. Especially in the Black community, having a mental disease or having any type of disease is very taboo. So it's like, oh no, just pray about it. Oh no, just you'll be fine, things like that. But it's really that, listen to them. Some of them you can actually see the different ways that they move, that you'll be able to tell like where they actually need help with. So that's what I would say.
I like that. I agree.
Oh, that was good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was. I got a couple of thoughts in my head. Trying to teach people to be their authentic self, which is hard. You really got to process it. So processing would be probably one of the main things. You're learning how to process, meaning don't be so quick to respond. Try to comprehend and take your time with your response. So that way you won't just be saying something. So don't be in your emotions or your feelings. And that goes both ways for the children as well as the adults. So that would be one thing. And the other thing is, my mom taught me this, and I never really agreed with it until now. The older I've gotten, I finally started to make it make sense. But you get more bees with honey. And so even when people are being not so nice to you, You don't have to meet them with fire and fire. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And not all the time, I'll be real, but most of the time, I've learned how to adopt that trait.
Yeah.
And it seems to work in my favor. You know what I'm saying? And the times that I don't use it, when I use my way, I know what that's gonna get you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
it makes for a better situation. Because when you're being pleasant to someone, a lot of times they don't wanna, I mean, especially they being jerks, and you continue to be nice, they're like, they don't know how to take it. It confuses them. You know?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. But if you go, tit for tat, then they know how to handle that. But it confuses them when you're being nice in spite of them being foul.
Right. Right. Huh. You
Yeah.
said a mouthful then, because I'm working on it. I really have to 1, 2, 3, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 myself very often. I know I do. It is a practice and it's still in practice, but having those conversations again, like Reva was saying, talking to people, or especially talking to our youth, letting them know like you're not gonna have it all together, but these are things you can do until you get there. Because like you say, learning yourself and being mindful of yourself, it is a practice. And I'm willing to bet that most of us go through life looking on ways to improve that level of mindfulness so that we can navigate in spaces with people we don't like. Because Lord knows there
You gonna find
there's
them.
plenty. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
plenty. You can, like you mentioned earlier, your auntie, my mama, was quick to tell me that I was Miss Nice Nasty to Nasty. Miss Nice
Yeah.
Nasty. I didn't know what that meant. I
Yeah.
thought I tell anybody today, I'm the sweetest person you'll ever meet. And then you see that she's really not. But then,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of, not allowing yourself to let others push you that long and that far, being mindful of when you're not okay and speaking to that. I believe we talked about that today. We talked about knowing when to say no, having people to support you so that we, especially in the space that we're in and the things we're trying to do, we can actually continue this work. Because anytime it's community-based work, anytime it's service-centered work and it involves other people, it pulls a lot out of you. And it does take someone or somebody's to be able to pour into you so that you can continue that mission. And that is the basis of this conversation we're having today. Whenever anyone sees this, I want them to get little nuggets to take back, whether it's kids, whether it's adults, whether it's a family, just knowing how real and authentic social wellness is and what it is to actually be in tune with yourself. And it's okay to be a part of social groups and structures. It's okay to ask for help because all of these things can contribute to you in a positive way if you allow it to. So again, I thank you both genuinely for taking time on a Friday at that to chat with me, to tell about your platforms. And I'm looking forward to what each of you got going on. Y'all got me on your bandwagon. I'm in your pocket. When things get the growing, flowing, and going, please don't forget about me. I love extending my hand and help wherever I can. And, it's again networking. So you guys, if you can support one another, I definitely foresee you being able to. We're going to make some great things happen and continue to do what we do. And I'll be sure to reach back out and stay connected. And as for everyone else watching this, I thank you again for joining me, English Simone, on my podcast, Off the Clock. And until we catch you again, be well. See you next time.
Peace.